talk about the game on Monday. What have you made of Everton after analysing their first 3 matches in the Premier League?
Well, I think Rafa, as always, or it seems to me, knowing some of his history, he likes his organisation. You know, they look an organised side. Generally a version of a 4-4-1-1, 4-4-2. You know, flexibility within that because of the players they've got, of course. You know, things that Rafa brings to the game, I think, you know, is often based, in my experience of him, often based on good organisation, and the players have got quality. I don't think that's in doubt. I think last season they were closer than the last couple of seasons to looking like an outfit where everyone thought could really push. So I'm sure he's looking to build on that.
And finally from me, what do you need to see from your players at Goodison Park?
Well, I think we want to see the performance levels we've been showing with the details that I've spoken about in both boxes. I don't think the performances are a mile away. We've done pretty well over the last few seasons over at Goodison. Every season brings a new challenge, of course, fans back in, etc., etc. But I think continuing to take on the mentality of a performance, and I think we've done that well. We've got to transfer that into winning games, of course. But the performances have been generally good.
Thanks, Sean. Good luck on Monday.
Thank you.
Thanks, Katie.
Excuse me, sweating, everyone. It's boiling on.
Liv, Premier League.
Humid, I should say now.
Hi, Liv.
Hi, Sean. Good morning. Good to see you.
And you? Well, I can't see you, but good to hear you.
Sorry. After 2 defeats and 1 draw in the league, you're still looking for your first Premier League win. In which areas you hope to see clear improvement ahead of Everton away on Monday?
I think really both boxes. I think the details in both boxes, because I think the general performances have been pretty decent. We've had a couple of sloppy spells that have cost us. So I think the focus and attention to the whole game, which was better against Leeds. I think we're a little bit unlucky with their goal against Leeds, but generally both boxes and getting the details right.
And you're facing a challenging opponent who had an interesting change in the dugouts this summer. How much you look forward to facing one of the most decorated managers in the league, Rafa Benitez?
Yeah, I mean, I've played against his sides, mainly at Newcastle, of course. Different kind of, or it looks like a different thinking there than what he's got at Everton. A different group of players, of course. But yeah, I mean, look, he's a well-travelled manager, top manager, like there are many in the Premier League, who've, you know, done all sorts in the game and lots of good stuff. So it's never easy going against these sides, and particularly when they've got good managers. But they've got good players as well. You know, people forget that. It's not just the managers. Good managers often work with good players, and he's both, I think. Good manager and working with good players.
And 6 of your players were on international duty. How are things looking personnel-wise ahead of the game?
Yeah, pretty decent so far. The feedback's been good. Minutes played against, you know, any fatigue and injuries and stuff, so that's been good. So yeah, we're beginning to get back to full fitness, and we want that, of course. And slightly longer term, Kevin Long will come back in some match practice, I should say. Connor Roberts as well. You know, they'll get some. Dale Stinger's not quite there, but he's making good progress as well. So we're beginning to get, you know, bodies back and getting them fit.
And Everton, they received a special dispensation by FIFA, which means that their Brazilian player, Richarlison, will be playing. What are your general thoughts about the whole situation?
My general thoughts are the powers that be make decisions. I don't make them decisions, so if the decision's been made, he's allowed to go back there and play. That's the way it is.
Okay, last one for me, please. Everton started their Premier League season well with 2 wins and 1 draw. What would you consider as a good result there on Monday night against a very good opponent?
We always look to win. That's the main start point. You know, that's our belief. That's our way of working. We'll see what we get if we can't win. But it always starts with performances. You know, I mention it constantly, and I mention it to the players constantly. So we're looking for the performance, because over the season, that's what gets you points and wins.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Hi, Dan Jewel Radio Lanks.
Hello everyone, how are we?
Right, Beardy, I suppose you're in a nice air-conditioned room. As you know, this room's not.
No, I'm not in an air-conditioned room. I'm in the broom cupboard, as you can see.
Oh, it must be brutal in there.
It's
more
appalling.
humid today rather than boiling, actually. It's just humid in this room, as you know, under these lights.
I think we're waiting for the rain, aren't we?
I know, that'd be beautiful if it does.
That would be ideal for your walk back down in the rain. That'd be perfect.
Oh, there must be a song in there somewhere.
Yes, anyway, as ever, we've got off on a foot that's not related in any way to the questions. Whenever you sign someone, Sean, or whenever you talk about signing players, you've always talked about having that right character and that right personality and that fit with what you've built at Burnley over a long time. When you bring players in, like you have done, is it, firstly, they've got to get up to Premier League match fitness, which is something you've talked about a lot, but is there also an integration? of the character and the personnel and the personality?
Yeah, I think so. I think that goes for all. I mean, the good thing is the camp here is one that adjusts to new players very quickly, very accepting, very open to new players. They will demand themselves of the new players that they come into line with what we do here, not just the staff, because we've got a few players who've been here a long time. I think the players accept that. I think players coming in accept that. So we're looking forward to it. And also that subliminal pressure that comes on the other group, the group that have been here because they're looking over their shoulder, brought in some good players in my belief. And as these players get fit and up for Premier League task and get used to what we do, then that can only push others around them.
You've talked before about trying to squeeze a few more drops out of the players that you've been working with for a long time and have done terrifically for you. Is this a way of getting more out of them by bringing in competition and having them looking over their shoulders? Well,
I think it helps. I played enough football to know that there's always that, like I say, a subliminal threat. I don't mean you're literally driving into train every day worried about it, but it's just that little edge that sometimes gives you a pep up and gives you a bit more in your own performance, And I think players are always looking over their shoulder, looking around them, who's playing well. And I think when we bring good quality players in, which I think we have, then it affects that and it helps push others. As well as the new players giving their own and looking for the differences they can give the side.
I think particularly Max Cornet is a big headline grabber, isn't he? And is a signing that supporters are excited about. It doesn't meet your kind of traditional profile. I know that's usually for financial reasons. Is it nice to be able to break the mould a bit? Is it nice to be able to bring in a player who, like you did with Stephen Defoe, has got that flair and that's something that perhaps rightly or wrongly Burnley aren't particularly renowned for in their recruitment?
Well, I think we've got a different-minded board now, a more open-minded sort of process, of the risk and reward. We want players to come in wherever they come from. The idea was the settling period, can players settle here and get used to life here. A lot of football is not just on the pitch. Of course they've got to work on the pitch. You often find if life's settled off the pitch, then they adapt well on the pitch. And, it was a bit of a settling period for Stephen Defoe, but he went through a spell when he was absolutely awesome for us, and I thought a top player until he got injured, unfortunately. So, I think all players you could even argue, Connor coming up from Swansea, not that it's a different country. Well, it is actually, but you understand my train of thought. He's lived there all his life. He grew up there. He's been at the academy there. So it's different for him as well. It's a different process coming up here, and change your life, change your feel, change your culture and environment. So I think we look for that adaptation, that's for sure. And then, of course, adapting on the pitch as well.
I know you said when the pandemic first started and Project Restart happened that people have got to try and remember that footballers are people and they've got lives and they've got responsibilities away from football. And I suppose that off-the-field stuff is stuff that the club's really adept with helping with these days and helping players settle off the pitch.
Well, I hope so. We want players to settle quickly, and get used to life here, so that would be helpful. We try and support that as much as we possibly can, without leaving it at a point where they rely on us for everything, because they've got to learn to live their lives as well in a new environment. So we try and find that healthy balance.
As far as Everton are concerned, is going to Goodison a little bit like, I suppose, teams coming to Turf Moor, a more traditional stadium where the supporters are right on top of you in places? Is that one of the places where you'll really notice the difference compared to playing behind closed doors?
Yeah, I know what you're getting at. I think it is a more traditional style stadium, a lot of history there. I appreciate the big new stadium, but I think there's still that love of the ground there, and it's certainly a place I've enjoyed going to. I like some of the traditions and the traditional side of football and the stadiums. But yeah, I know what you're alluding to. There is that tightness, that compact feel to the ground, but it's something we're used to ourselves, so I don't think that will be any concern to us.
Does it make any practical difference how you've done there in the past?
Well, I think it reaffirms that you can do well at these grounds. I think that's the thing. But no, in real terms, it's a new game. It's a start again process. You can't guarantee the last one is going to make sure that the next one's the right one. So, you reflect on it somewhat as a player and as a team, and how you fared there. But generally, it's a new game, new process, new manager, new team, all of that sort of stuff. So we just take it on when the whistle blows.
And I know by now not to preempt or try and make your team selection, but Dwight McNeil's on 99 Premier League appearances ahead of this one. To get to a milestone like 100, whether he does it on Monday or whenever it may be, what does that say about him? How good has he been for Burnley?
Fantastic. I've said it for many games, many weeks, many months, many seasons in a way, and He started young, he's progressed, he continues to be a regular in the side. He earns the right to be the regular in the side as well. I still think there's more. I spoke to him this week about I think there's still more in there, and to open his mind to what's more. But I think he's a top young player. And, to amass that many games so quickly is very pleasing for him. And that's a start point and for us as well.
I spoke to your new academy director this week about trying to bring players through for the future and bridging that gap between the 23s and the first team. How important is Dwight McNeil? How big a sort of poster boy for producing your own players? Because I think we all know that supporters have a special place in their heart for a player like that, and for clubs they can be massive, can't they?
Well, I think it helps align the players who are in the system. There was a time when people wondered who'd get a chance. And I always said the players have got to have a chance to actually deliver. You can throw young kids on a football pitch. If they're not ready to deliver, it's very difficult, So you've got to try and monitor when they are ready. With Dwight, I think we decided at the right time. Others have had a taster of what we do, of course, and coming off the bench and getting a feel for it. It's been ready enough. Now, I'm not saying, the reason why I say ready enough, I'm not about being the number one pick every single week and being, fantastic. I'm just being ready enough to handle what it is to play in the Premier League. And some players get it quicker than others, and some learn it a bit slower. But it's about getting there, getting to the chance of being in our first team.
Thanks very much. I hope the rain comes soon.
I do too.
Thanks, Dan. Mark Staniford, Press Association.
Hi, Sean. Thanks for this.
Hiya.
But like everyone's alluded to, there's been a lot of praise for the business you've done in this transfer window. I assume you no longer have to cook omelettes to attract this kind of calibre of player. Does this feel like the start of a real fundamental change in the club's approach? It could prove to be a kind of turning point that can help you reach new levels. Well,
we'll see. I mean, there's still a business side of it, and I think Alan and the people involved know that. I mean, we've invested this season better. People forget we still bought in 11, 12 million with players going out, so there is a balance to it. But it's pleasing to see there's a bit more open-mindedness to what can come next. And I think everyone's bought into that. I think, Alan and the people involved I've spoken to, Mike Smith, who's been involved with the recruitment side, they've bought into the themes of what we've been speaking about for the last couple of years. There just wasn't the investment there for the last couple of years. Now there's more investment. We'll see where it goes on the investment side of things. But it still also comes down to the development side. You can put money into situations. It doesn't always guarantee things. You put enough in, it usually does guarantee it. We're just putting enough in to try and continue to get better. There's a difference. We're not buying, cherry-picking players from all across the globe that some can afford to do. But we want players who can come in, continue their development and continue it with us and add to what we do.
Do you feel an additional pressure? I mean, inevitably, if you have a good window, there's increased expectation and increased optimism. Does that bring additional pressure? And if so, is that the sort of thing you welcome?
No, I don't think it does. I mean, we've bought various players in the past, don't forget. A couple of players for 15 million, around that mark. And it's part and parcel of it. The value of players now in the market is not true value and worth anymore. It's pay it or don't pay it. So it's irrelevant, really. If you want a player and you think they can better you, you're going to have to pay whatever that takes to get it done. The days of us all sitting around kind of getting roughly to the same level have gone. So, numbers are irrelevant now. That's all they are, just numbers. If you can afford it, great. If you can't afford it, say la vie, move on.
When this current squad's fully fit, where does it rank in terms of the strong squads you've had in the top flight? Is it up there, with or above the best of them? And if not, what does it need to reach that?
Well, I don't know yet. It's too early in the season. The players we've brought in are a bit late into it. They haven't figured yet, so we'll see how that goes. But I think the squad's in a healthy place, and I want it to continue to develop, quite obviously.
Thanks, Mark.
Fine. Just finally from me, how frustrating was it to go into a break just after you'd sort of got off the mark against Leeds? Did it give you valuable time to reflect, or would you rather have just jumped straight back in?
No, there's no frustration. We know the dates a long time before it happens, so it's just a reality.
Thanks, Mark.
Cheers.
Alex James, thanks alive. Lastly for this section.
Thanks, Pete. Afternoon, Sean.
Afternoon.
Can I just check on the injury front on Nathan Collins? Am I right in saying he picked up a knock with Ireland? And if
it's a good shout actually. I forgot to mention him, but he's pretty good. He's better than we thought. We'll make a decision over the next couple of days, but he's on the grass already, so it's favourable. So that's my mistake. I forgot to mention him. Yeah, but he is on the grass and he is active. Not with us, but with the physio. So the point is it's favourable news, I would say.
Okay, nice one, thank you. And just following on from what Mark was saying now on the recruitment side, you've had perhaps a few changes behind the scenes recruitment-wise, and obviously the new owners coming in and having their view on things. And I think Alan Pace has spoken about a more collaborative approach with obviously yourself and your staff having a big say in that. Did that help? Was there what seemed from the outside a bit more of a clear communication pathway? Did that sort of help you achieve what you wanted to in the window?
The communication was never in doubt at this club, but someone has to sign a cheque. That's the reality of it, and that's not me. So, we can communicate all we want. Eventually, someone's got to decide that that's the right thing to do, and then make sure the deal happens. And I know Alan worked very hard on the Maxwell's deal and the other deals to make sure that came to fruition. That's what it takes sometimes, but there's never been a lack of communication. It's just a willingness to actually sign them checks, and that's the hardest bit.
And you mentioned adding that sort of next layer and getting younger players into the building as well. I know that is presumably ideal every window, but was that something, a more conscious decision made this summer by yourself and the owners?
Yes.
And just quickly on Dwight, I know Dan mentioned him to you, but obviously on the cusp of 100 Premier League appearances, a terrific achievement at just 21. You sort of touched on the fact that there might be a little bit more to come from him. I know he wants to add more goals to his game as well. Is that what you're sort of alluding to there, or how do you sort of see him being able to improve further?
No, I think it's just, top players become top players because their consistency rises. So even on a quiet day, they still offer something more than other players. And I think he's just raising that consistency because he has got consistency. That's why he stays in the team. He's just raising it throughout 95 minutes where you're always a threat. And I think wide players, it can be tricky because you have spells when the ball's not with you and you've got to work to get it, and he does that very well. But it's continuing to raise his consistency and, of course, delivering key moments, which he's certainly got it in him. Sometimes it's the team getting him in a position to deliver. Sometimes it's him getting himself into a position to deliver. So, yeah, working on the details of his game now. He's got a good format and a good basic framework to work from, and now it's the details.
Nice one. Thank you, Sean. All the best on Monday.
Cheers.
Finishes the broadcast.
How good you mentioned Dan, and Dan suddenly popped up,
Well, yes.
as if by magic, Dan.
There he is, Magic Man. Magic Dan. Thank you, guys.